Hey friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are up at the chicken coop. You can probably hear the girl singing her song. It's called the egg song. So when a chicken lays her egg, she's very proud of herself, and so she sings her song. So she just started singing right when I started filming. So there you go. But we are up at the chicken coop. We are going to plant two different kinds of hydrangeas today and a butterfly bush. Yes, it is about a week away from Christmas, and that is the beautiful thing about living in the South and living in North Carolina, is that I can continue to plant lots and lots of plants in the wintertime. It is fabulous. In fact, this is the perfect time to be planting those trees and shrubs in the ground, because these plants can get their roots really well established before the heat of the summer hits. Here in the South, I'm in North Carolina, a zone 8A, recently moved from a 7B now to an 8A, and we're not concerned about how really cold our winters are, because relatively speaking, they are very, very mild. But what we have to be concerned about is the heat and the humidity of the summer, really like into like mid-July till really, gosh, even sometimes mid-September. That is when we have our most intense heat and humidity, and that is when our plants really struggle. So we try to get their roots really well established before they are put under stress. This is that time to do it. Temperatures are cool. The ground though is still relatively warm, and we're getting more consistent rain, so that I don't have to worry about coming out here and watering on such a consistent basis as I would have to do if I were planting these exact same plants in May, June, or July. So what we're going to do today is, let me give you a little rundown here. We are, like I said, of course, obviously at the chicken coop. The girls are quite happy. They got some pumpkins. We still have leftover pumpkins from Thanksgiving, so they are munching on those. The two hydrangeas that we're going to plant today, if you remember, back in the summer, and I want to say this was July, we planted 3 pufferfish. So they were in 1, 2, and 3. When we planted those, they were gorgeous. They were in full bloom. They were stunning. And I fell into the trap, as most gardeners do. You go to the garden center. I was at our garden center. We had just gotten some new pufferfish in, and they were absolutely beyond gorgeous, full of blooms. And I was like, oh, I'm going to plant them up at the chicken coop. Remember how I told you we need to worry about the stress of the heat and the humidity of the summer as opposed to the cold of the winter? Well, guess what? 2 of them died. Yeah. So one went downhill really fast, and one was doing great, and then after a month, she just kind of gave up the ghost. I have no idea. Then you have one right here. Man, she did great the whole time and just kept going strong and did wonderful. So that's gardening, folks, right? So what we're going to do today is we are going to, because I still have the one pufferfish here on the left, I have another pufferfish right here. So we're going to replace the pufferfish that was there with another pufferfish. Pufferfish, of course, are one of the newest introductions from Proven Winners. A beautiful panicle that when it's in full bloom, it almost covers the entire plant. Think of it of like a bobo on steroids. It's going to be hardy in zones 3 to 8. It is going to be in that 3 foot to 5 foot mark, which will be perfect because the 2 pufferfish are going to frame the new Pinky Winky Prime here in the center. Now, Pinky Winky Prime, I have never grown a Pinky Winky, so this is prime in the fact of it is still going to be nice and large, 6 to 9 feet tall and wide, still hardy in zones 3 to 8. It is going to have more it's going to be a little bit more floriferous, right? So it's going to have more flowers on it. It is going to have a pure white, really pointed, cone-shaped flowers that will turn a more intense pink and red. Now, if you are a fellow Southern gardener like I am, you know that sometimes we struggle with our panicles getting that pink color. It is nothing that we are doing. It is simply our climate. The hydrangeas, the panicle hydrangeas, need the cooler nights to turn that beautiful rosy pink and red. We were in Michigan, gosh, it was last year in September or October. I have never seen panicle hydrangeas that color. We were able to take the tour the private gardens at Spring Meadow Nursery. The hydrangeas were beyond gorgeous, and that is just that's the thing that I have to accept as a North Carolinian gardener, is that I can plant in December, but my hydrangeas are not going to have the color as my friends in Michigan, and that's okay. But if you are in those areas of the country or your climate or your elevation where you get cooler, drier nights, nice and warm during the day, and then it cools down dramatically, then you're going to get that beautiful coloration. In the South, it just may not happen, especially where we are. So that is what we're going to do. It is going to blend in quite nicely because remember, right behind here is what I affectionately call Hydrangea Hill. So we've got, remember we were just here with Mimi last week and we pruned, those are firelight hydrangeas, and then way down at the bottom we have limelights. So we're going to have 4 different panicle hydrangeas right here very close to each other, which is going to be really fun. Next, we are going to plant one of my all-time favorite butterfly bushes. I love this butterfly bush, even though you look at it right now and you're like, Jenny, oh my gosh, she is so sad looking. Well, this is Pugster Pinker, and Pugster Pinker is just a phenomenal petite butterfly bush. We have it in mass in the privacy berm. It has beautiful, really deep, rich pink flowers. There was a Pugster Pink. They came out with Pinker because you know why? Yep, it has deeper, pinker blooms. Pugster Pinker is going to be in, for us, a very much of a 3x3 bush, right? A shrub. And so it is going to be what I call here, we call them semi-evergreens, because basically they're going to keep this type of foliage all winter long. You can see where we have lots and lots of old blooms, right? But we are still holding on to some green growth. Obviously, it is not as full and as lush as it is in the summertime, but pretty much this is how our butterfly bushes look all winter long. So I'm going to plant it here where the Mahogany Splendor hibiscus was. The Mahogany Splendor is a beautiful annual that we use for foliage, but I really want to put it right here because it is going to be surrounded. I've got a Blue Fortune Agastache right here, which those two blooming together would be gorgeous. I have a double Eternal White Quince over there. So just lots of little areas. And of course, behind it is the Nellie Stevens Holly, which it will complement off of very, very nice. So basically what I'm going to do is I have all of my supplies. I've got my Power Planter auger with the 9-inch drill with the heavy duty tip. I am going to need that heavy duty tip on this thick red clay. So I have that, and I have my biotome. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and get these babies in the ground, set up the camera. I will film that, show you all about that, and then once I'm done, I'll come back to you and kind of explain, how we plant butterfly bushes, how we plant hydrangeas, and then I'm going to show you a couple little things that Brenna and I got accomplished before we started this video. So it's just been a great, beautiful, sunny, cool day in the garden. This is kind of the day I love. You just piddle in the garden. That's what Mimi and I say. We're just going to go piddle. That just means we're going to do a little bit of this. We're going to be doing a little bit of that over here and over there. Just getting lots of odds ends just kind of caught up and accomplished. So let's get these babies in the ground. All right, my friends, today's project is complete. You know, some days in the garden you get projects done really quick and sometimes it just goes on forever. Very impressed with myself. I got this done in under 45 minutes while filming. So hey, we are doing pretty darn good today. I feel great about getting these plants in the ground. I still have a whole section of plants, we'll look at those in just a minute, that need to go into these gardens, but this garden just kind of keeps getting pushed to the back burner, and that's okay, right? A lot of times in life, well, always in life, you have to prioritize things. So this is kind of becoming a lower priority with the other things going on here at the nursery, whether it's the signature garden or the production house, right? But it feels great to get these done. Let me just walk you through real quick. You saw me plant, we're gonna kind of go in reverse. Last, I planted the Pugster butterfly bush. Now, I think you could see when I planted it, that I planted it pretty, what we call high, meaning that my root ball is sticking above the ground. Butterfly bushes hate to have wet feet. So you want to give them plenty of room right here to drain well. I have thick red clay soil, so when it is wet, it holds the moisture. That is the best way to kill a butterfly bush, is to put it in too wet of a condition. Also, there's no compost around this butterfly bush. They like to be neglected. Yes, I use biotone because we want strong, healthy roots, but really I just took the native soil, pushed it back, I had some mulch, brought it back. We are going to remulch this whole bed at some later time this winter. So we'll take care of that again, but just know with your butterfly bushes, especially if you lose one, if you're in the South, you lose one in the wintertime, it's not because it's too cold, it's because it was too wet. You probably planted it too deep, or it's just in a wet spot and it rotted. So plant your butterfly bushes high, don't use compost, and leave them alone. They love, of course, that full hot sun and do great. Maintenance on your Pugster butterfly bush. I have learned, kind of quote, the hard way, not to prune my butterfly bushes until I get consistent warm temperatures. So for me, that would be like late March that I can then go ahead and trim them back, because all of your butterfly bushes bloom on new growth. That means they need to be pruned at least once a year. Best time to do it is coming out of winter, going into spring. Once you have consistently warm temperatures, you start to see some new growth, and then you can give it a haircut. With Pugsters, I don't prune them that much because they only get to be 3 feet tall. So I'll cut it back maybe by a half. That's kind of a good general rule with any kind of shrub that you're going to go ahead and prune. So give it a prune by half. If you want to fertilize it, they don't really need a lot of fertilizer. If you want to give them a little something, you could probably give them a little plant tone. But I don't fertilize my butterfly bushes because they are very hands-off and very fine. Next, we went ahead and in reverse, we planted the Pinky Winky Prime. Now, right where Brenna is standing is that Pinky Winky Prime. So we got Pinky Winky Prime, and then we have, of course, the puffer fish. Those you can plant a little bit deeper, as far as not deep. When I say deeper, I'm just talking about that butterfly bush, and so that they are not really sticking above the ground, right? This one is raised up just a little bit, but it is fine. And lots of compost around these. Of course, everybody got biotone. And I did go ahead and give it a little bit of water because this area was dry. We're expected to get like 2 inches of rain in 2 days, so they will be good to go until then. With your panicle hydrangeas, they too bloom on new growth, and you are going to want to prune them by no more than a half. As a general rule, we say a third to a fourth. Now, Pinky Winky Prime has already been pruned. I will come back and just shape up pufferfish just a little bit. The reason that we don't prune them is because we want to have really strong, thick, sturdy stems. So you can see, now this is a young plant, right? But you see that. Now, let's go over here to semi-mature Firelight, right? Same family of a hydrangea, and look how strong and thick those this trunk is, right? We've got really, really strong stems. This is going to give my plant support. It is not going to get floppy. So you can see that we don't prune it way far down. Every year we just prune it a little bit more. So it was initially pruned here, and then you can come up and see that then the next time we pruned it here, then we pruned it here, and now I'm pruning it here. And as every year goes by, each additional stem is going to get nice and thick and sturdy and hold up those beautiful panicle flowers for us. So that is just a little tip, because when people say, you know, my panicles, they're so floppy, I can't stand it. It may be that you're pruning too much, or if you're not pruning at all, then that is, you know, you've got to prune them at least once a year. And again, late winter going into spring. Now you could say, well, Jenny, you've already pruned yours. Yes, I did. Panicles are a little bit more forgiving, and I know that for us, as far as, because we have this wedding coming up in the spring, I know how springs are for us with production and the retail garden center. It is just a madhouse around here. So I am getting all these little chores done that I can do now. I'm getting them done now. Speaking of little chores, now that we've covered about what we did today, we also, before we started filming, Britt and I had lots of fun. We went around and got 2 bird feeders hung up, found these gorgeous wrought iron hooks off of Etsy. So I got a couple of these, but here we have a suet feeder. My birds do love suet feeders, so we have that. And then over here, I have a squirrel-proof bird feeder, because the squirrels are a problem for us. Not only are the squirrels a problem, but raccoons are a problem. They will come and tiptoe across those hooks and destroy my feeders. So I try to raccoon and squirrel proof these. This is a Droll Yankee. I love this one. It has tons of food in it, but the little perches are spring loaded, so it won't hold the weight of a squirrel. Very, very effective. And then I just use the black oil sunflower seed in there with some like thistle or the Niger, whatever, for the finches. Mix that together and they love it. Now, you'll notice that I still have some plants here. We talked about that I have a collection of plants that need to go into the ground. If you are like me, I think all gardeners probably, if you garden long enough, you're gonna have a little collection of plants that are waiting to be planted and waiting to be find their permanent home. These are all going to go in the gardens up here. I just need Jerry's help, 1, clearing out some of the woodland area, and then 2, honestly, I'm going to have him help me with the, so I just need some help. And so what I'm going to do until then is put all your pots together, just hook them up, you know, snuggle them, everybody in nice and close to each other. That way when the wind blows, like the storm that's going to come through in 2 days, we're supposed to have high winds. Keeps everybody upright, they support one another, and it helps insulate them. I know it may sound silly, but just putting those pots together like that really does help insulate them. We do this on the production shrub lot, and it does make a big difference. So just snuggle everybody up together. And then last but not least, what we did is we went ahead and planted a climbing hydrangea. So this is what we call just a non-branded hydrangea. So it doesn't belong to a specific brand. It's not a Proven Winners, it's not a Monrovia, it's not a Southern Living. It's in a black pot, just a classic climbing hydrangea. And I've had it sitting here for a couple of months, and so she finally got into the ground today. Even though she was in the pot for a couple of months, you can see that she is very happy and very alive. She's got a little bit of green little buds on her. But climbing hydrangeas, you want to plant them next to a large support. This is an oak tree that is back here, kind of in that back section of the garden. And so the climbing hydrangeas are going to be your part sun, part shade. Now here in the wintertime, she is getting a lot of sun. That's okay, because summer sun is a lot weaker than winter sun is a lot weaker than summer sun. I don't know if I said that right. So What I'm concerned about is not my winter sun, I'm concerned about my summer sun. Here, once all these hardwoods leaf out, in the summertime, she will get nice, beautiful dappled sun, but she will get a break in the afternoon. So right here will do great. I had her sitting here in those hotter months, and she did absolutely great. But climbing hydrangeas, notoriously slow to get started. They will sit for a couple of years. They'll have some growth, but not a ton. And then once they start growing, oh my goodness, they absolutely take off. They can get like 40 to 50 feet tall. So this is why you want to put it next to something that's going to be there for quite a while, hence an oak tree. And so they have this beautiful kind of relationship where the hydrangea will attach itself to the nooks and crevices of the bark of the tree. It is not going to kill the tree. It is not harmful to the tree. It just simply kind of hangs on for dear life and then climbs up. It does bloom, and it's just a really kind of a unique, different aspect, texture, and height, and just all sorts of funness in with the garden. So got her in the ground, biotone, compost, the whole 9 yards. But yeah, it's been a great productive day here at the chicken coop. Brenna and I feel quite accomplished, and as always, we hope you have found this fun, informative, and inspirational. Y'all have a great day. Thanks so much for growing with Creekside. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.